Shalimar Point Owners Association July meeting. Call to order. Meeting is in order. Mr. Secretary is not here. Gentlemen, do we have proof of meeting notice?
Yes.
Yes? How is it posted?
It has been posted on the guard shack display since Monday at 4 p.m.
Monday,
4 p.m.
the 6th.
6.
Monday, the 6th of July at 4 p.m. on the video board.
That's right.
All right, at this moment, one of our community members would like to raise an objection.
Yep, so hi, I'm Elizabeth Beers, I'm at 827 Choctaw Lane, and ever since I've moved in this neighborhood, as well as, I believe, years and years and years prior to that, we've always posted our notice on the bulletin board as you come into the gate. And so I just want to say for the record, I object to this meeting because the notice required by Florida statute 72303 subsection 2 is not posted at least 48 hours in advance in that particular location that we are accustomed to seeing. Owners were deprived of their statutory right to attend this meeting. As you can tell, I found out at 4:30 today that this meeting was even going to occur. And I request that the meeting be adjourned and all agenda items be heard at a properly noticed meeting.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Sam.
For the record, the actual quote from Florida statute says the notices of all board meetings must specifically identify agenda items for the meetings and must be posted in a conspicuous place in the community at least 48 hours in advance of the meeting, except in an emergency. As such, we independently discussed this amongst ourselves, and it was my opinion that we felt we had met the standard of being in a conspicuous location. Member at large?
Absolutely.
You agree? Vice President?
Yes,
All right, so four to none, we believe that we meet the standard for conspicuous location. And we appreciate the objection of our community member. Thank you, Liz. The June 2026 meeting minutes. Any questions about the minutes? Gentlemen?
No.
All right. Motion approved. Motion seconded. All in favor? Aye. June meeting minutes are approved. Old business. Lawsuit update. As of now, the last communication that we had from our attorney is that the plaintiff's attorney is in the process of working up a submission. That is all we know. So as of now, there really is almost no new information other than the Architectural Standards Committee is awaiting a submission, okay? Repairs update. Do you need anything on repairs?
Yes, it's been a busy month for the gate. Some of you may have noticed that the gate went dead, locked everybody out. The key fobs and the keypad didn't work. And we ended up finding out that the landscaper had hit a cable and severed the cable, and then when it got wet, it shorted out the transmitter. So it killed the transmitter. They put in 2 new transmitters, and that cable's gone, so we don't run a cable again. Have to worry about that. That happened early in the month, or after the last meeting. And then we had a tree branch break down and fell over the entire entrance to the Shalimar Point. The good news is it missed the key pad by about a foot, so that was the good news. The other good news was we had a bunch of neighbors that came out there with chainsaws and got to work, and within 20 minutes we had the tree all chopped up and off to the side of the road. And then I think Josh must have come by and picked it up. You didn't know?
No, somebody else did.
The golf course.
Yeah,
course.
I brought my
course
down the
did.
trailer out,
Okay.
and it was already gone.
All right. I knew, I heard you were thinking about
Yeah,
doing
you
it.
thank Bonnie for that.
All right, thank you. But anyway, so the community really came together to make that happen. And those that came out, we really appreciate to help clear the road and then to help clean up the mess. And then a week ago, we had a lightning strike on Eglin. Some of you may have heard about that. We ended up with a power surge a week ago Sunday, I think. And your generator may have flicked for a minute, come on, come off. Well, what it ended up doing, it fried a chip inside the keypad board on the motherboard. The motherboard's about $2,000, so the good news is it didn't fry that. But it's fried one of the chips on there, which, believe it or not, is an American-made chip. I didn't know we did that, with a tune of $450. So that is all up and running. So that's what's going on with the gate and everything else. So,
So we've had pretty frequent interruptions of service for that gate now, right? It's been, if not monthly, at least every other month. And at least twice for the past 6 months I can remember, there was a landscaping error that hit a cable. Is that right, Mike?
Probably, but,
Yeah,
the
okay.
landscaper.
All right.
and part of that problem was the installation. What they did is they ran antennas down to the Shalimar Point brick sign. They ran antennas down there. They left the cable laying on top of the dirt and through the shrubs. So when they weed eat to clean, they obviously hit that cable. It should have been in conduit, number one. Number two, if you notice now, those antennas are gone, and the new transmitters will pick up your fob from inside the box under the keypad. So that issue should go away, and we shouldn't have that problem.
Okay. My question, you're starting to address a couple of them. Is there something we can do better, smarter? That system's been there for 10 years? 10 years, maybe?
At least.
Okay. So it's been 10 years, I'm sure technology's made some big improvements. Maybe we can come back to that one a little later. All right. Plan B committee. Pete, you had a lot to talk about this.
I do. Okay, we had a meeting last night. There was a ton of folks showed up. We appreciate everybody coming out. We kind of stated the purpose of that Plan B meeting and what the desire from a SPOA perspective is to make sure that, you know, this golf course remains here. Nobody wants to see it turned into a development and do that kind of stuff. So we started off and we had Mark Coombs kind of brief the entire group on the status of the golf course and where they're at financially and what needs to be done and what kind of money they're looking at. There was a bunch of different options presented, but I think, according to Mark, their main priority is looking at trying to sell the golf course to another company that does golf courses, that runs golf course, and or leasing. Those were the two things that came out of that Mark's comments. The SPOA's positions obviously is, and we had a heated discussion or a lively discussion, I'll call it, about what are some things could be done with the golf course, but I think priority is keep it as a golf course and move forward, seeing what we can do. Is it feasible for SPOA to entertain buying that golf course? And so we're gonna start a little subcommittee. We've had some volunteers already of people saying they'd like to be on that to try to look at what are the true costs, what would it cost to, how would we buy that, what would it cost homeowners if we were to buy that. But anyway, those were some of the discussions that were going on last night. So we'll look to canvas population. One of the things that was brought up too is with DeSantos wanting to put a bill out to eliminate property taxes, timing may be right to where if your property taxes go down and then we ask for some assessment money to help buy the golf course, it's not a whole lot of money out of anybody's pocket initially, but that remains to be seen, and we'll see how that goes. And then we'd have to review the legality of the purchase and making sure that we know all of the costs that come along with the golf course. I mean, we know, based on ballpark dollars on a month, but what we have to break it down, look at those leases, look at everything that it takes to see what really, just like anybody would if you were doing your due diligence on buying a property. So that was the gist of the Plan B meeting.
I think we can revisit the actual board portion of that and come back. I have some more. All right, that's a good summary. All right, streetlights, any update on the streetlights?
Yes, they have been down, what's the name of it, East Lake Drive, is that it? Is that where Denny lives?
Yes, East Lake Drive.
Yeah, they changed out a light there. That's the only thing I've heard of. I contacted our point of contact at Florida Power and Light and asked for the name of the person that's running the project. I haven't got that yet, but that is what we're doing. So they're moving their way around the complex. If you see them anywhere other than Masters, you know, let us know. We'll keep an eye on them.
Masters Bridge. Mike, any news on, have you gotten back underneath the Masters Bridge, or are you still recovering?
He's
Everybody-
gone ballistic.
He's gone a little soft.
But his left-hand man there, Josh, is
Yeah.
the one that did it all.
Yeah, I pulled up the papers that were settled. It looks like when they did that pipe work, the culvert work under the road, they just put dirt back under the pavers instead of any type of base. So I just dug it out and put base underneath it, back down.
But the one side's done.
Yeah, the one
We
side's
still
done. I
got-
haven't been back over to the other.
still gotta do the
But
other
yeah, I
side.
imagine it's probably the same thing, just right where that curve is.
Insurance claim. This has to do with an insurance claim from 2024 that the claim has been languishing, going back and forth from the attorneys, and I'll address it individually in I have some comments about it. And then the election plans we'll get to in a little bit. Per the insurance claim, our attorney has reviewed this disagreement over the $5,000, and it's his opinion, looking at the documents, that CSK attorneys and travelers appear to be correct that a deductible still needs to be paid. This is because the $5,000 settlement recovery, according to the insurance contract, first goes to travelers for whatever expenses they had, and then nothing ties that to the deductible. There may be an issue as to what the prior board president was led to believe from CSK. And that might potentially have some culpability, but the reality is that's a tough claim to have, and per our attorney, if we choose to fight that, it's their opinion, it's his opinion, that Travelers has the leverage to refuse to renew our coverage and make SPOA seek alternative coverage, possibly at a higher expense. So, with that being said, that's the background on it. I think we have everything we need to say about it. My opinion is, it's been languishing for over a year and a half, and we just have to pay it. Any seconds, any,
I'll second.
all right, all in favor? All right, so noted, 4-0. And we'll settle that. New business. All right, I have a crazy idea. Should Plan B meeting be the golf course acquisition name? Is there another name that we can come up with? People have some question about Plan B. I leave it out there. Anyway. All right, so the Plan B, just thinking about the name, as we go forward with this, I think we should probably think about that. And then there was one of our.
Reminded you were the one that named it.
I did. It was just a brainstorming idea. Huh? There is Plan B, and generally speaking, it's a great way to get over making a bad mistake from last night. Okay, so there was a question raised by one of our community members about a parking issue. Did anyone else get that? I know I got it.
I got an email about somebody asked if he could park his boat
Right.
to do a repair in his driveway. And we have a precedent where we've allowed that to happen here, where somebody brought their boat out, cleaned it, waxed it, had it out for a day or two, and then took it back and it went away. And we've done that. That seems totally reasonable.
And you have no problem with that?
No,
Okay.
I'll follow it.
My take on this is that the idea behind that is you don't want an open air garage in somebody's driveway.
Right.
And so I
2 days
think,
max.
2 days?
That's what I said.
All right,
Is that plus the weekend? No, I'm saying.
No, I honestly-
Some folks like to bring the boats home on the weekend.
Yes, sir.
So one of the things that's happened here, we had one of the homeowners here park his boat in our parking lot here for several days. And when we told him he can't do that, I think he said, we gave him permission, we didn't give him permission. So I'm of the same opinion you guys are, I think it's spelled out in the covenants, that if you wanna work on your boat during the day in the driveway, that's okay, but and it's spelled out, you're working on your cars, you can't do that during the day. If you wanna work on your car, pull it in your garage.
I actually wasn't going to mention the part that you guys were involved, because I didn't see that as part of it, but thank you for adding up.
That's fine.
But yes, you're right, and
We
it's
had
like,
him over here several days, and John and I noticed that we confronted him, we can't do that here.
I think that's fair, so I would, if we're gonna do it, just, I would say probably 7 days, you don't go into the second week. If they started on a Thursday, by the next Thursday, it's gotta be gone. Technically, I would even say it should be gone by Monday, because you're either gonna do it Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, but I would say they have 7 days, and it's gotta be gone.
So,
It's like Mark said, those are just some of the things we need to clean up in our document rewrite. We wanna change
Because I
that, because
think
it
the covenants are clear.
is specific and.
I agree.
It's
It's about being an open air garage, you're not supposed to do it. I mean, the covenants are pretty clear on that, but you say there's precedent. And that's why I didn't answer the email, is I think that there's precedent, we've let other people do it, we have a hard time standing on our. Mike, any thoughts?
I feel like 3 days is pretty clear.
3 days?
We all have stuff to work on.
Okay. We have 1 for 3, you're 0?
I'm fine with that. We just
it's
said we need to update the covenants.
All right, we're gonna send an email back to the gentleman saying he's good for 3 days, and this is this is clearly expressed in, you mind sending that email? You got it? You just tell him that the covenants are pretty clear that it's not allowed. All right, there you go. We'll update our org chart. The board member reports. You started with this on the Plan B. I guess the question that I have for you on the Plan B is how much the golf course actually owe? Mark, can you tell us that?
I'd say it's just under 2.5 million. That includes a 20-year mortgage for from the Capital Group. We owe them 1.7 million.
So that's 2.5
2.5 million of debt.
that is secured by what?
1.7 of that debt is secured by a mortgage on some of our unrestricted property out here. That's defined in the mortgage. And that mortgage is being paid over a 20-year period. And the terms are 4% a year. And the Capital Group has been patient with us. And so to this point, we've been paying interest only, which amounts to about, I want to say about $6,600 a month.
And who holds that note?
Shalimar Point Capital Group.
Okay, so Capital Group owns the note.
Yes, they do.
Okay. And is there a bank involved?
No.
Okay. And is that in default, or are you guys making that 4% to yourselves?
We are not in
To
default.
yourselves, the capital group. You guys are making payment to the capital group.
That's correct, we are not in default, we are current on our payments.
And that's for 1.7, not 2.2.
Correct, 1.7.
Okay,
It's the principal amount we owe the capital group.
and then the 2.5 you mentioned, the other
$800,000 is owed to various people. We have a $300,000 line of credit that we borrowed against.
and those are unsecured.
That's correct.
And that line of credit, is that currently being serviced as well?
Yes, it is. We are current on that payment as well.
Okay. And then, you said, I think when you when we were talking last night, you made a comment that there were also investors, equity investors in the golf course. How much is equity investors, how much money is from, indebted, or how much the equity investors have claimed to?
Okay, so don't use the term indebted, please. Equity and indebtedness are two different concepts. Okay, indebtedness, you gotta pay back. The equity money, that's the money PSP members put up starting back in 2012 to fund the acquisition of the golf course.
Mhm.
So it's like owning a stock, it'll go up in value, it go down in value. So there's no implied value of that. But we raised probably about $2.15 million of equity, mostly from the residents in this area.
Okay.
And the average person holds about 15 units, or $15,000.
Okay.
We've got about 140 equity members. Some that are in Lake Lorraine, not all of them are in Shalimar Point.
The average was about 14,000?
15, roughly.
Okay. And with that 15,000, so have there been any distributions to those people who have some of that equity?
Zero.
Zero, okay.
Never, as a matter of fact.
So total obligations is 4.5 million.
Well, again, you're mixing terms here, okay? There's no obligation to get any money back to the equity members. That's the sad part of this whole thing, okay?
They bought the course so we wouldn't go under and sell it right well.
They have an equity position.
That's different than the capital investment group.
It's like buying a house.
So they gifted it, those are gifts.
Well,
It's not a gift.
I would call it gifts.
They have an
Why would we
equity.
put the money up knowing that they were not gonna see a return on that?
That's a gift.
No, let's
No.
be clear, let's
No.
be clear. If I have 5 people that buy a house for $500,000, and they each put up the same amount of money, they have $100,000 each in equity, okay, when they make that buy. Now, if the house goes down to $200,000, they still have an equity position. If that house is sold, they're still gonna get whatever the proceeds is divided by 5. So whatever we sell this place for, whatever's left over after the debt, and again, whatever you sell something, the creditors get paid first. The creditors get paid first. Whatever's left over gets returned to the equity holders of the club. of PSP.
Right, but trying to figure out what the total obligation or the total figure is, we would want to include that, right, or no? So you're saying, you would sell the course for 2.3
Only if
million?
you liquidate it and change the land use of the property from a golf course to a 300 home subdivision.
No, I mean, if you sold it as a golf course, you would sell it for 2.3 million or
No,
4.5?
that'd be suicide, because then you're telling your PSP members that their contribution meant nothing.
Okay, well, I mean, that's why we're having the
Which is kind of what
conversation.
you just said, right?
I'm just asking, that's why I asked, is it 2.4 or
To make everybody
4.5?
whole, let me put it this way, to make everybody whole, we'd have to pay off all of our debt, which we've talked about, 2.5, and then pay up probably another 2.1 million to all of the equity that people put in, so there's your number.
That's just a break even,
1.7.
that's just a break even.
Yeah,
They
that
haven't
gives
given any
everybody
interest
their
on,
equity
on
return.
their equity.
And then you had mentioned something to me about the, capital group, I think it was, what's $25,000 per share, is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
There were 69 units that were sold. 69 times 25,000 is 1.7, that's the amount of principal.
Any idea how much money has been repaid on that debt?
Zero.
No, you said interest on.
Correct.
Okay, so what I'm trying to get at is, you made a comment that this, that you've been current with that 4%. When did that 4%, when did you start paying that 4%?
2024, I believe, we've been doing it for a couple of years. So we've been paying interest only, which has no effect on the principal amount of 1.7 million. We still owe that amount to the capital group.
Ballpark, what is that debt service?
It's right now about $6,600 a month, just to the capital group on that 1.7.
And that's for
Just
all,
the interest, that's just for the interest.
that's for all people, that's not just the, that's not,
No, we're up to about 8,000 a month in interest when you include the private loan that somebody gave us and then servicing the line of credit.
I understand, I'm just trying to, that's $6,600 a month going to
The capital group, correct.
Okay, for 59 shareholders,
69.
69.
What makes the difference of an individual giving you money that you want to pay back versus the PSP giving you money that you don't want to pay back?
Well, if somebody loans us money, some investors are gonna want that loan to be secured. If you go borrow money
So
to
there
buy a
was
house.
loan. It was a loan.
Pardon?
It was a loan.
From the capital group, yeah, they made us
Not
a loan.
capital group, didn't you say you have?
Yes, we have.
PSP is not a loan, that was,
Right.
But we have-
The capital group is a loan, it's a secured loan.
Yeah, I understand that.
But we have a private individual that has loaned us money unsecured. Okay? We have this line of credit that is unsecured except for the people, there are three couples here that guarantee the repayment of that loan. Okay? And whatever sale we do, the creditors get paid first before any equity positions would be distributed.
Okay. And then you classify for us what what I would assume it sounds like a charitable donation from SPOA. How is that considered in your income?
It's about, I want to say it's about 5% of our total
Is it
revenue.
fair to call it charitable donation?
No.
It's not a debt, right? It's not gonna be repaid.
Well, that money is an agreement from an MOU that was signed back in 2019.
Okay.
We get 14,900 every quarter. You can call it whatever you like.
I'm just trying to figure out what you call it, because it was done before I got here, and it was done, and we're doing something very similar. We're exploring opportunities like, I think somebody last night said it took a year to come up with that MOU. So, I'm trying to figure out whether or not it's reasonable to expect for the SPOA to get a return on that, i.e. Is it considered equity, which means that we don't get anything back? Is it considered
No.
debt, or is it just considered a charitable donation?
It's revenue. We count it as revenue.
Okay, what do we get? I guess what I'm trying to say is, from your perspective, we don't have any claim on it, it's unsecured debt.
No, it's not a debt, it's a payment that SPOA gives us. And in return, we provide some value where people would come out and play golf, they get 2 free rounds of golf per quarter, I believe, or per month, okay? People can take advantage of that or not. So for them.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the agreement states if the PSP sells the golf course, then the golf course or the PSP has to give the ultimate amount of funding SPOA has given to the PSP in shares, returned in shares. That's what the agreement says.
I have to go back, I don't believe that to be true.
I believe what the agreement says, and I I believe it has to do with deferred fees. And the fees have to do with road.
Access.
Impact fee, that's different.
I don't, if I knew the answer to this question about what the PSP SPOA agreement money that we're contractually paying, if I knew what that was considered, then that's what I'm trying to pin out here, actually.
The consideration is we give 3 rounds of golf, we give access to the putting green and access to the driving range. That's 3. Right? And the SPOA gets the use of the clubhouse here. We never charge the SPOA here for any, we've got to pay the light bill, we never charge the SPOA anything for conducting meetings here.
All right, Tracy, under termination on the PSP contract, it says, if there's a judicial determination that assessments levied by SPOA to pay its obligations under section 3 of this agreement are invalid or unenforceable for any reason, PSP shall immediately convert the funds paid by SPOA into shares of PSP with SPOA members as the owner thereof.
That's exactly what I said. Wasn't it?
She's just validating the
Oh, okay.
paragraph.
I'm just telling you,
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
there
I'm
was
just
some
making sure I'm
confusion.
going crazy here.
Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you.
Can you repeat that one more time? Because I did not hear some of that, I
Okay.
apologize.
If there is a judicial determination that the assessments levied by SPOA to pay its obligations under section 3 of this agreement are invalid or unenforceable for any reason, PSP shall immediately convert the funds paid by SPOA into shares of PSP with SPOA as the owner thereof.
Shares.
Shares.
Okay, so shares sounds like equity.
Okay, we'll look at it.
All right, well, there's another paragraph right above that that says, if the currently owned 18-hole golf course is sold or is not in the same configuration, excuse me, as it is at the time of the signing of this agreement, the PSP's share of the proceeds from the sale of any portion of the golf course parcel will be reduced by any unpaid portion of the annual access fees due to the SPOA should the foregoing be judiciously determined. So that covers the access fees and,
Okay. All right,
so either way.
Part of the total debt that I mentioned includes about $150,000 of impact assessments that we have not been able to pay.
impact assessment.
That's the access.
Yeah, we're supposed to be
Use
paying
of the roadways
10%
to
of
the
total budget.
clubhouse and to the, maintenance bond.
Okay.
So the access fees at this particular point in time are coming up on $163,331.60.
163,
$331.60. And that's at the end of 2026. And I'm not sure because our contract starts in October, where the end is, it really October or is it January? However, the military
So-
does October.
the reason I'm trying to break this down is one of the take-home points of the Plan B meeting last night that I walked out, and I think it was your point, is how much, yes, you. It was your point, is how much is the actual number, right? You kept trying to say, what is the number, right?
Well, I try to make a couple points.
Well, that was the first, that was when I walked out thinking.
Okay.
Did you raise it?
I just want to make sure everyone's sitting there, yes.
All right, I'll give you a chance if you want to raise the other ones, because you have a lot of good points on it.
100%.
Would you like, Lord?
Well, if we're going to the actual value, if we're talking about for the SPOA, like, hey, where do we meet in the middle? Is that what we're talking about right now?
What you're talking about now is more like negotiation. I'm still on fact finding.
Okay, so, like I said, I had a couple points that I was trying to draw up there. We gotta go. So, where can we come, meet in the middle, all right, got that. What is that actual value, all right? Where can the SPOA, like, are we talking about the census and where the community can, what can they contribute.
Okay, so as Pete was saying last night, and I'll just reiterate, we do not, as a board, we do not have a preconceived idea of where this is going, okay?
No, we don't, so that brings me back to communication. Where is the community and awareness on this, right?
Mhm.
Because that's huge, right? This is the community. Oh, I get going now. This is kind of imminent, you know what I'm saying? This has been boiling for a minute, and then now it's starting to surface. I've been here, what, 9 years, and you guys have been here for a minute, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of people came into this neighborhood and invested, you know, with some faith. And we didn't know that there was possibly a train wreck coming here, you know, and it's coming, right? Coming off the rails. And, all right, cool, doom and gloom, everybody do that, well, all right, cool, you can sit there and cry about it, you know, go out, you know, hug each other, but we're gonna do to resolve this, right? And that's where I was coming at last night, you know, and then this was 5 weeks ago, we had the first meeting, and I was like, all right, cool, here's the information. What does our community know about this, right? Because we may have some investors out there that are like, hey, we gotta save this, we gotta do this, but they don't know, all right? And I might be up the mark, you know, about this, but honestly, up until 5 weeks ago, I didn't think we were like in this trench, because we're in this trench, right? And then, you know, maybe 3 years ago, we were going into this project and we're gonna, you know, I understood that the course was gonna shut down, we're gonna lose revenue, I understood that, right? So I hopscotch went over to Herbert, because that's my hood, you know? That's where I met this guy, you know, did my thing, you know, and fell in love, and then the course started, you know, rejuvenating, and it was coming back, we were doing our thing, and you can see the growth, it's happening. But I'm starting to think, like, was this really happening underneath the doorstep here? I mean, did one party know about what was happening, and the other, I mean, what happened? And then I started talking, you know, what I asked the board was, what does the SPOA know about this? Are they aware that their backyard is about to just get, right, that's gonna turn into tall grass or whatever? You know, it might be a minute before architectural standard housing is in there, right? But, all right, what is that, you know, like, do we turn it into green, you know, whatever that park, or what is it, not athletic, but, recreational space, what does that mean? Do you turn that into some pickleball courts and a swimming pool? You know, does that classify as that? But ultimately, you know, this homeowner, I want a golf course, that's what I came back here.
Can I say just one thing?
Passion,
Yes.
I wanna thank you for your passion, okay, because I mean, you are absolutely right on what you said last night, and it's clear that it's coming from the heart. Tammy, you go ahead, but I wanna finish addressing.
Okay, I was just gonna say, I think we were all blindsided. PSP knew it took a year to draft the last agreement, and they had to have known this was coming before 5 weeks ago.
I 100% agree with that.
So it blindsided all of us. It's been dumped in our lap, and I'm sure they knew this was coming. And why we weren't approached before 5 weeks ago, or even last night. Even last night, it was the first discussion about it was, no, we're okay. And then someone asked the point blank question, when are you out of cash? And that was answered August. So if it takes a year to work through this agreement, I don't understand why we did, you couldn't foresee this coming. It's been year after year of not making any.
But that's where my passion comes from, why I need to
Right.
get out there and reach the community,
Right.
that they need to be aware of it, because they're not being aware. They're not reading their emails, they're not reading Facebook. Some of these are old school cats, right? You may need to go to the door. And yeah, they may shut the door in my face, but I'll put a flyer in there and they can go in there and read it like they read their old, you know, the old comments. You know, I get it, right? I'm not trying to downplay the whole community, but
We're not trying to downplay anything. We independently
Wanted to succeed.
started asking these questions, which is why we had that meeting you went to 5 weeks ago, right?
right. My frustration.
2 years ago, no, you're fine. 2 years ago, Mark, in this very room, went through these same numbers, and he was still quite optimistic about being able to turn the course back on. So I think there is, the question you're saying is a great question. The question that went into that meeting 2 years ago, people like Tammy, like me, like Pete, we were wondering, why are we continuing to spend money on this course when it doesn't look like it's turning the corner? And at the end of the day, SPOA agreed to continue the contract, okay? And it was done so really because of a compelling story from Mark in a meeting, and Mark, what, we had like 7 or 8 families here, I mean, it was a big meeting. So, I mean, a lot of people ask those questions. So, I don't know where, and it's a legitimate question where, but in some respects, I'm a pragmatist. And we are here. And yesterday, for the first time, even though I was starting to try to ask a guy who knows something about this stuff, another guy who's been, I was asking these questions over the last 6 months, and we came around and having a meeting. Last night was the first time I heard of anything about August, okay? So, you're right, it's a train coming at us, but we're here, and what are we gonna do about it? That's my point.
We're here. The rest of the 198 homes, there's not 190 homes here, right? We're behind the power curve. We are. As this, so we're considering this our home. I'm not talking about PSP. I get it. Thank you, PSP, for giving us this. This goes back before me, right? But I don't want this to go away. And I'm advocating, I'll stand up right now, and I know I'm behind the power. I'm behind the power curve. I was behind the power curve when I got here 9 years ago, all right? And I should have been a more, staunch investor in this, but I didn't know that's where we are. But that's where I am today, right? I'm not gonna save this place alone. Well, there's 198 people out there we haven't even talked to yet to see where they're gonna be. I know we've done some soliciting. I don't mean that in derogatory terms. But as our comms gone out, do they even know and understand what's gonna happen?
Okay, the answer to your question is, how are we going to do that? Okay?
By September 1st.
How are we gonna do that?
I get it.
And the only way it happens is with boots on the ground. We have raised this up, we had about 60 people here last night. 60 people, not everybody who was here tonight was here last night. We have about 60 people here last night, we have this. Our minutes are gonna reflect this fact finding. They will be posted. And at the end of the day, you're right, we have to get out and we have to figure out real quick whether or not this community is going to get behind bailing them out.
That's what I was talking about, the census. We haven't even got out there to see who is even willing to contribute to doing this.
But we need to know what is it we're asking them to contribute, and they're.
Why do they want the golf?
Yeah, and you also need to give them some facts, so that, for which they're gonna base their decision on. You can't just go out there and say, hey, what do you think about saving the golf course? I think you have to have a very well-told story.
And Mark, let me say, because, we bought this place back in 2012, we did it on a motion, okay? I didn't have a business case. We had some very prominent business leaders in this community that have since left this area. They said we need to save the golf course. Our intentions were pure, okay? But then there's the business side of this thing that nobody thought about. We did it based on raw emotion. Think of we're all a bunch of do-gooders here, and we're gonna save the day, we're gonna save the community. I can tell you, there's a good number of people here in this neighborhood that don't care a lick about this golf course. Nothing. Nothing.
And
They don't
that's
care whether it's here or not. Like it or not, that's the unvarnished truth.
And I appreciate what happened before me, believe me, because I get to appreciate this right now. And I might be in the same shoes where you are right now, because that's about where I am. It's like, what do we gotta do? Save shall mark.
But Justin, I want y'all to remember one thing. When we bought this golf course, this table right here, Scott Myers came in with the attorney or the owner with Meadowbrook. The first thing out of their mouth when we sat down here at the foot of this table, they said it was just a matter of time, it was a failing golf course. We had Bermuda grass that wasn't being used in the golf course industry anymore. We had an irrigation system. You gotta remember, this course was built in 1968. 20 years is about the service life that you're gonna get out of Schedule 40 or Schedule 60 PVC pipe. So it breaks at the joint as well as longitudinally on the pipe. Kenny was out there in the middle of 13th fairway with a tailgate tent in the middle of the summer, fixing a 6-foot stretch of pipe that had busted. And so when we bought the golf course, we were totally underfunded. Yeah, we saved the day. We kept Scott Myers from coming in and putting in 300 homes on this golf course because the Okaloosa County Land Development Code says you can put 4 to 5 houses per acre in a development.
Again, what about the
We have 131.7 acres of property, of which probably 120, 122 acres is development. So when we bought the course, we needed a new irrigation system. That's about $750,000. You have 18 greens. It takes about $30,000 to $40,000 to rebuild, put new profile, sprig it with tip eagle sod or sprigs, and then you had to redo the bunkers because there was no underdrain system in these bunkers. So, so it's been a big investment. And we needed at least 8 to 10 months to grow this course in, of which Okaloosa County prohibited us from opening this course in a reasonable period of time. So this is where we are today. But the question everybody needs to ask themselves, if you want this golf course to be here, what are we willing to do to make it happen? And I'm gonna tell you something. I've looked at the website. Fort Walton Beach only grew 2.59% in 10 years. We've only increased the population in Fort Walton Beach by what, 1,800 residents? So we don't have the disposable income that you see on the east side of the Destin Bridge. We have a lot of people in here who are retired, whether they're military, service workers, business, or whatever. And for us to tell them, you're gonna have to kick in $12,000 a year or something like that, we can't do that. That's unreasonable. All we can do is ask them, if you want this course to be here, what are you willing to do to make it happen?
So, one of the courses of action that was brought up a couple months ago was the idea that a homeowners association with a golf course is that the association actually owns the golf course and runs the golf course. So Mark, how much monthly, what are your monthly fees typically?
You talking about revenue or expenses?
Expenses.
About $150,000 a month.
$150 a month. Okay. So, for this to become a community-owned, so when you buy the house here, you own a part of the golf course. We would have to be planning on the HOA covering $150,000 a month just to keep it open.
No, you have play, you have revenue coming in from your public play and your membership.
I
How much
understand that.
revenue do you have?
Well, we have about 140, in June, we made about $10,000, okay? So we had a very good June, but, there are months where we might lose $15,000 or $20,000.
See, I would say, and I'm gonna say it because back in 2012, I was shut down when I asked about a plan, a business plan, a strategic plan. It was all emotional. We still went ahead and supported it. But this time around, there has got to be a business plan.
Agreed.
Because it is a business. And if we do nothing else, we have to have a business plan. And we have to be able to say, we know what things are gonna need to be replaced, or what's happening with the equipment, what's the life on that equipment. We cannot go into this with just emotion.
So I think to the 1985 covenants, Ray Newman back in May 13th, 2015 reported that the 1985 Lorraine Garden covenants and the restrictions on the use of the golf course property cannot be extinguished by the Florida MARTA rule until 2042. And then another document from January 29th, 2019, we would not be contradicting the 1985 covenant, just saying we wouldn't be opposed to it if judicially it could be changed. And then in January, in the history form, when this was, I think, in 2012 when it went out. In January 1985, Lorraine Guardian Ltd. executed the covenant restricting the use of the golf course to recreational use and restricting the development parcel to residential use. I don't think we can ignore that. Everybody seems to think that, oh, the courts will get paid off and we can ignore that, but you can't ignore that. That is a covenant. It's still a covenant.
All right,
Rick had it done.
Rick?
Let me tell you what else we can't ignore, and that is, we have someone that lives on our hood here. I think her last name is Duckworth, and she applied to be on the board or something. She, if you'll kind of reflect that along with me, she had quite a sterling resume. She's a forensic accountant, and she's been in that business for her whole life. She could be sitting here for all I know. I have no vested interest in her, but she is a positive resource for looking at the PSP's books, which has been a problem for quite some time. The HOA members have been in a position of buying a pig in the book, and I think we're inclined to do that again. So another set of eyes on those books would be pretty darn useful at this point. And I don't think anybody would argue against that. The other thing is, there was a study done some years ago that was sent out relative to the viability of investing in a golf course, and it wasn't all positive. I don't know what it is now. I have no idea, but somebody ought to be looking into that, because I suspect it's not everyone's cup of tea. And it certainly wasn't Edwin Watt's cup of tea, who lived across the street from me for several years. When he once owned a golf course, part owner of a golf course in Mobile, he couldn't wait to get rid of that bad boy. And for the insiders in his friendship ring, I wasn't among them, for sure. He advised them, do not invest in this golf course, or any golf course.
Okay.
So there should be some study done as to the changing demographics. We have people, the swimmers coming across the Rio Grande and so on. Are they gonna be in here playing golf? I don't think so.
I greatly appreciate the idea that the golf course as a business entity needs to be considered, and that you have to do a deep dive into the book. I agree with all that. From a SPOA perspective, is there the opportunity to keep it as an entity that we own, and apparently we have to be able to either come up with $150,000 a month to keep it running, or we have to come up with something less than that if we're able to generate based on a business. Okay, I get it. My goal in asking that question is, if we want to keep the golf course open and we want it to be part of the community, we have to be willing to take on.
Well, I know you get it, but does the rest of the SPOA get it? Do they get it too? I think it's important that they be fully informed as to what's going on with PSP, why we're at this point, why weren't we informed of it earlier? Not that we're gonna indict somebody or anything like that. We need to know the mistakes of the past to avoid making them again.
Well, and the thing is, as soon as we learn, and like you just heard Sam say, we just learned some of these numbers yesterday, that are
Right.
coming out.
No, I
So,
understand.
so it's been trickling out, some of the information, but as soon as we learned there was an issue, we started looking at what's in the best interest of SPOA with this issue, and what can we do to move forward? And that's why we bring it up.
One other point, I think we should all be mindful that living on the golf course was a cognitive decision. People chose to do that. Other people chose to live on the water. They chose to do that. Perhaps nobody could see the future. If we could, we'd all be in Vegas rolling dice. But some people tended to avoid golf courses. So the people that live on the water are now in the position of indemnifying those that potentially made a judgment error in putting their life savings in a house that's on the golf course. That's problematic. I mean, we all empathize with that. That's a shame. We all wanna keep the golf course running. But let's remember the facts.
No. And Mark,
Thank
one
you.
more question. You mentioned the unrestricted portion. Just remind me, what is considered the unrestricted portion?
Okay, we have a few parcels of land here that are unrestricted. Well, what does that mean? It means that residential homes can be built on these parcels. This clubhouse sits on one of those unrestricted parcels. The driving range that you see out here is unrestricted. Part of number 9 over here is unrestricted. Part of number 18 over here is unrestricted. That means we can sell that property to a home builder. Now, they would be subject to the covenants of the neighborhood. But those unrestricted parcels can be used as residential developments.
Okay. And so part of the actual course itself, a couple of holes.
Correct.
What, it was, you said it was 18?
Part of number 9 over here, where the pond is. Part of number 1T, part of number 10T, and then, number 18 is fairway from about 150 yards towards the green. That's all unrestricted. Plus this clubhouse and the parking lot.
So-
And the practice green, all of this property out here is unrestricted.
So it's fair to say, with the sale of that, the golf course as an entity would cease to exist.
More than likely, yes.
We have to look at the negative aspects of that. If you do that, you buy your golf course. People coming out here to play, they probably don't want to play here on the driving range. They probably don't want to play here number 18 and cut in half. So probably gonna go to city courts.
Understood? But if the capital group, if the PSP were to sell off those properties, those unrestricted properties you said, then by definition, I don't think you have 18 playable holes.
We agree with that. We've got about 13 acres that is unrestricted. Those parcels that I mentioned amounts to about a little over 13 acres.
All right, so we've addressed how much is owed, we've addressed what the breakdown is, and then the last question. Mark, if you were to use your crystal ball and you can't drum up any more business, what happens to when you can't meet your expenses?
Well, if we can't, we have a couple of alternatives. We can declare bankruptcy. We've discussed that amongst us. And again, there may be a chance to reorganize and perhaps put off some of our creditors. That's an alternative. Like I said, there's another avenue that says we sell to another golf course company. If they think they can come in here and run it and make a profit, we'd sell that off. Now, the downside is the PSP members that I talked about earlier tonight, they would get nothing. More than likely, they'd have nothing. And some of those people have put up $50,000, $100,000, and I don't want to have a face-to-face conversation with those people and say, thank you, but we don't have any money left over. Your investment is gone.
Well, ultimately, who's responsible?
We are. The PSP board, there's no question about it.
Well, we moved in October 24, and these guys have been asking you to open the books almost every meeting we've been to. And it's just disappointing to see that nothing has happened, and now everybody's having to suffer because of it.
Okay, a couple things that you don't realize. Number one, we've
Sure.
been in a court battle here for 3 years. We thought we'd have something settled by then, and we haven't.
Nobody was optimistic about the court case. Nobody.
You know, our attorneys are because they took it on a contingency basis. Attorneys don't go blow hours if they don't think there's a reward somewhere. Okay, they took ours strictly on a contingency basis. They knew that going in. Okay, we are where we are. The only way that any money gets returned to our PSP equity members is if we sell this to an adult. I'll be perfectly blunt.
If you win that suit, how much do you win?
I'm not even gonna speculate on how much that is. That's up to a judge and or a jury if he chooses to impanel one. But nothing's gonna happen this year on that case. Our appeal has been filed, I can tell you that.
And then you mentioned other sales. I know that at a point, 6 months ago, you mentioned the possibility that the county, but right now,
I approached them today about it.
the county is, okay, so is the county actually in the business of being a white knight or something like this?
climate is totally different than it was 6 months ago. Largely due to the fact of the, what's on the ballot in November for the property taxes, which could take a huge hit to the general fund in the county. So going out and buying golf courses is probably not a good political move. But that said, you all know they've purchased the Red Lobster, both the properties on either side of the bridge. Today they just voted for $300,000 improvements to John Dowd's property that's gonna be a park.
But that's all for recreational purposes.
Right. And that's what this would be. So if the county purchased this, it would be with tourist development department funds, which are bed tax funds, not general funds, which they have plenty of. However, you know, they just bought a $10 million boat, they're about to sink. I mean, I could go on and on and on and on, and these are all funds to generate tourism, and that's what they're for. But I broached the county today about it. I'm just now understanding the full big picture, because I was more in tune with about 2.3 million, and now I'm in the neighborhood of 4.8 million, if you're including your investors.
I'll be honest with you, most of the people, the PSP members that put up the money to buy the course, I've talked to most of them, a lot of them did not expect one nickel in return. All they wanted was this course to be here. We've got school buses that pick up kids in their parents' driveway. I tell you what, my wife and I put up a lot of money, and I don't expect a nickel from the PSP. I never even fathomed it. That never entered into the equation. The equation was to have this golf course be here. When we had meetings at the Shalimar United Methodist Church back in the day and the Lutheran Church, we had people from Lake Lorraine and Shalimar Point show up at the door. First question out of their mouth was, "Are we closing the course?" And Randy Bensley said no. They turned around and left. They would not even give Denny Krimble the courtesy to tell them the state of affairs of the golf course. The apathy is what's killing this golf course.
So I guess, I mean, if I could, Chairman, I got just two ways here is, one, being that we're in the ninth inning of the ninth hour and the Titanic's prop is out of the water, and that's it.
Yeah.
Is the PSP more angled to selling to a developer so everybody can be whole?
We answered that question last night and we
I
said
know.
no. We
Okay,
said
I just want to ask it, Mark, because we're so late in the game. It's like, we don't have time to do anything other than say, hey, SPOA, here's my other point, is we all got to come together. You're taking a hit of approximately, in your worst month, $10,000 a month. Split that up with 200 homeowners. Our homeowners' dues go up to $200 a month per house, and we make sure you're self-sufficient in your worst month. Do we do that? But we're at the ninth inning where we don't even have time to come up with an agreement. We don't have time to come up with a sale.
I'll tell you what we'll do. I'll tell you what we'll do. We're gonna go beat the bushes here. I'll go get some additional capital to keep us going for a couple more months, okay? I gotta go to the well to several people, okay?
I mean, even if the county wanted to buy it, we don't have enough time.
I understand
I
that.
don't.
But I think we can go make it run for a few more months, and I'll take that action on. Again, I gotta go get capital for people that have already given twice their already, when their neighbors have put nothing, okay? So.
Hey, you know my feeling on the golf course.
It
I live
doesn't
on it.
matter, it's irrelevant, okay?
I'm just-
But I'll go back, I'm gonna go back to the well, my letter said, okay, the people that I go talk to are getting really tired of this, okay? If we have shortfalls, hey, how about another $4,000 or $5,000 here, you know? You know what, I'll do it. I'll do it.
Well, Mark, I
And
mean,
that,
I don't know if that's
if
gonna.
it buys us some time, great, if it doesn't, so be it.
But that's just gonna add to your obligation per se.
Yes, it will.
Well, I mean, we're all here, we need a long-term solution, and I understand time is against us all right
Yeah.
now.
Got it.
What is that long-term solution?
If we can't increase the level of play or the number of people playing here, there's no fix, okay? our expenses are fixed for the most part. We've trimmed them down. We do a lot of labor here with volunteers, believe it or not, okay?
What are the operating expenses?
Pardon me?
What are the operating expenses?
About $140,000 to $150,000 a month.
Well, my email that the golf course sent me, you guys have 50,000 rounds of golf a year. And by those numbers, even on your, at the cheapest, $50 a round, that's $2.5 million. That more than covers your operating costs.
We don't have 50,000 rounds a year. I don't know where,
You guys sent me an email saying you do.
who did?
Golf course, I mean, you've heard your email now, but asking for
No.
advertising.
No, that's,
Saying you
I
got
didn't think it was coming from us.
50,000.
I don't know where you got.
I tell you what, we wouldn't have this meeting if we had 50,000 rounds
Right.
off a year.
So you're telling the public, you're lying to the public that there's 50,000 rounds of golf.
We've never had 50,000 rounds of golf here. I don't know where that came from.
We don't have a
Who
budget.
said that?
Whoever's running the golf course,
We're running the golf course. Who? Give me a name.
What's the email?
it came from,
I don't think that's gonna solve anything or help anything
Justin
anyway.
Wilkerson.
But I think it says to the point that there has to be transparency.
I have no
that-
idea who he is.
I'm not sure that we have transparency.
That's referencing something he doesn't
I have no idea who he is. And he's not a spokesman for the golf course.
It says it came from Elmer Golf.
Give us a name. Because I can say that he did not, okay, he's not affiliated with the club,
Okay, good.
okay?
Right, but it's from,
Because that is a company that sells advertisements for golf courses, for key cards and things like that. And so they don't have any
so you guys,
information
you're not,
on
you
the
guys
rest.
aren't in any way affiliated with them.
No.
And this is how they get their numbers.
This is how rumors and false information get started, from things like this.
All right.
And what are the next steps?
I just told you what it was.
And what's in there?
I think we gathered about most of the information that we can gather right now. You had your hand up, and
I do, I know, you guys probably already had the answer to these questions, but I know, if you were to ask every homeowner to pay a membership, it's golf. And I'm kinda asking you, and I'm also asking Mark and Monster. If 198 homeowners of SPOA were to say, we're gonna be golf club members today, right? I think I did some math here, it's a little over 1 million, right? I mean, what does that put us? And this is what I asked 5 weeks ago in our Plan B meeting. Did we even run any rough numbers to see where SPOA and PSB can come together, right? Where, and
so I guess my question is, in order to run numbers, you have to have a course of action. If the course is paid off and all the debt goes away, and the plan is that you are going to run the course as part of SPOA, and then everybody who is part of SPOA has a share of it.
Okay, so.
You see what I'm saying? Now you start.
I guess I'm understanding now is that SPOA's gonna take ownership?
That's a question.
It's not.
Because I was under the impression that we were trying to come together as one, unless PSP is trying to, are you guys wanting to dump and leave?
No, we live here.
No, man, we want to keep the
And I'm
golf.
has to be new
look, I'm not
leadership.
trying to throw punches.
You know, but my point-
We come together as one,
What-
and I'm running rough numbers, I'm like, and we haven't even called out to the, but can we do this? Is this realistic?
What we've been talking about here is, there's a lot of people in the community who don't feel that a stopgap, a special assessment of $150,000, a special assessment of $500,000 is not going to fix this problem. There has to be an organizational, a structural change to the golf course for the golf course to be able to move
Bottom
forward.
line, we got golfers in here. Yes.
Okay, if the model of success for the golf course is going to be play, build up the play on the course up to your $50,000 a year, whatever. If the point is to play on the course, to make the course successful, then you have to have a business plan, you have to have marketing, you have to have a whole endeavor to go out and get people here.
I am right there with you, but I also believe that the SPOA, every 198 homes have the responsibility of this course. And that's where we need to come together and figure out what that number is, to include the marketing and bringing folks in.
Justin, I agree with you 100%.
This
but
is
there
our
are-
backyard.
There are a certain percentage of people out here that don't play golf.
Well, you know what? I get it.
And you and I and the board, we can't force those people
Agreed.
to come.
But they bought into this community, and I did too.
But we've been
For
building
this.
this golf course out for what, 7, 8 years?
Yeah, you're just delaying it.
Why'd you move into a golf course? That's what I'm saying. And if it goes away, so does everything. We're not talking about our neighborhood. We're talking everybody outside this gate. Everybody gets affected by this.
Yep.
That's why they need to be approached as well.
100%.
And they need to pony up something, if they wanna be on the golf course.
Okay.
Excuse me.
So,
It's-
my goal for tonight, yes, ma'am.
Okay, it's not that, you're my neighbor, or somebody was thinking in the backyard, but we cannot afford $10,000, $12,000. I mean, we have children in college, as you do. We'd have to move. And then what? If we wanted to move, we have to disclose, oh, there's gonna be a $12,000 assessment for you to move in a new house, a new house. So it's, now I'm scared of hearing all this. I'm like, what?
I get this, and that's why I said we have to found the line, we have to found the foundation, we have to found that bottom line. Where is that number to where it makes it for us as SPOA members? We don't know what that number is.
Since we're not the same, you look, and then you're not the same predicament, like you said, Sam, you have to test it, you have to get people here, you call me, you have to. I mean, we'd be right back in the same situation.
So I
I mean, my family cannot afford anyone near that.
It's my opinion, my goal for this was to try and come up with what those courses of action are. What you're saying, we have to come together. I am saying, I don't know whether it's the golf course being sold to SPOA and SPOA taking over management of the golf course, or if it's a bailout, in which case we kick the can down the road, and maybe that's a fair thing, if there's an agreement that they go out and they change their business plan. I mean, those courses of action have to be discussed, we have to come up with those, and we absolutely have to get.
Understood. I just provided one course of action. It's open mic. Everybody else can come with their opportunities and what they want to do. I'm just providing. Plan B was, hey, what are our opportunities and what can we do? This is my proposal.
Okay?
Get out to the community, find out what everybody can contribute. How can we meet in the middle? That's just my proposal.
So your
I am
proposal
not-
is to figure out how to kick the can down the road and make the golf
If
course.
that's the way you see it, sure, but that's the way I'm coming from. How can this community right here, whether it's on this golf course, keep the golf course?
From what you're saying, you think two separate entities, PSP and SPOA, and they continue to run their business, they continue to have their investors, they continue to have the capital group, they continue to be the same structure that they are, and we have no oversight of that.
That's not
No
what I'm
way.
saying. That's not what I'm saying.
Okay?
No, I'm saying, how is this community gonna save this property right here? And can we come together? Meaning that, do we buy them out? Does that happen? I don't know. I'm just proposing, it's just a question.
You're reiterating what I've been trying to say the whole time.
Okay, then I'm just sitting here, you know.
No, again, I love the fact you're saying, because I don't have to say it.
Yeah.
Now, you gotta keep in
But I
mind
didn't
too,
say
all
this,
the,
I said this 5 weeks ago.
I know, but you gotta keep
That's
it,
the point, I said this 5 weeks ago,
But-
and we had a meeting last night, and we had the same conversation, that we're like, hey, we're gonna start this. But nothing happened.
But we're getting more information.
Okay, we're getting more information, but as a
I think-
SPOA, what does the SPOA know more than what happened 5 weeks ago?
That they're
We
gonna
just
run out
learned
of
that
cash.
they're going out of business.
We learned that last night.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
We knew
saying.
that 5 weeks ago.
did you?
Okay?
You do know they're going out of business in August, not
I'm
5
not
weeks.
trying to throw darts at you or you. All I'm saying is, we need, have you looked at the numbers? How can this
I think
community?
That's why we're having.
The
these
options
discussions.
cannot go forward to the residents without doing some due diligence and having the facts there.
That's all I'm saying.
You've gotta have the facts there, because they're gonna have questions, and
Liz?
I'm a little worried about just creating a lot of angst amongst our owners that you found me that says it's actually a special assessed for this, because the way I read this, it's not a common expense and it has to be applicable to this year only. I'm not sure that that's gonna be the standard for a special assessment for our owners to pay.
Fair enough.
How did we get the first one in 2019? They did it under the same, it's the same guys. That's the way they did it.
Contract.
Yeah, but we would
I said, if you didn't have a contract, you're talking about a special assessment.
yeah, but we would have to do a contract.
Yeah, I think we've got a lot of good questions, and I think we need to move on. What I'm going to say is, the next Plan B meeting, we need to have, come back, solid courses of action, and then we have to be prepared to take them to the community and see whether the community is in favor of any of these.
And then, do we have a deadline?
Apparently, when they run out of money,
September first?
no, well, no, I mean, Mark just,
That date is
Mark,
flexible, okay?
Mark just said they,
We can go out and raise some additional capital, okay? Again, I'm gonna have to twist some arms, but I think we can go get some additional money from the people that continually have supported this club. Okay?
And
I got another good idea.
And I wanna make
Little
one.
League now used to sponsor, you put your signs in the outfield, you sponsor every one of these holes with all of these businesses in this town. Just make it
Just, I wanna make one comment, okay, we're at the end of the road here. And I want everybody to understand, once, if we can raise additional capital and defer this for a couple of months, like you said, do our due diligence and what have you, okay, let's do that. But I'm gonna tell you, within 2-3 months, if we can make this happen, fine. But when we get to the end of the road and we don't have any more money, and we don't have people that are willing, that don't see the value of the golf course out their backyard, once we cut those pumps off, and once we, work some sort of agreement with our vendors and suppliers, then this course is gonna go fallow, and it's gonna go to seed, and it's gonna be weed. And everybody in this room is gonna be pissed off. So
that's a
you
threat,
better-
and
you
I
better
think
be- no,
due
you better be
diligence
talking
can
to
be
your
done
neighbors.
in
You better
lot
be talking to
quicker
those people
than what your
outside the
deadline is.
gate that have lived on the coattails of everybody that has supported this course for the last 68 years. And it's gonna be ugly, it's gonna be
We've
nasty.
supported it, but we still
Business.
want due
But that's what's gonna
diligence and a
happen.
business plan.
Let me tell you, it happened in Crestview, it happened in Niceville,
We
and
understand.
and we are at that position now. And it's gonna happen. So within 2 to 3 months, this community, outside the gate, inside the gate, needs to ask the question, do we want a golf course here or not? And it may be that we can't support it
I
anymore.
think everybody understands that. I don't know why we're hearing this again. We still need to do our due diligence, whether it's in 2 weeks or
We've
3
had this
weeks.
conversation for the last 12 or 14
No, no,
years.
we've
Yes,
never
we have.
gotten-
Yes, we have.
No.
Yes,
No,
we-
sir.
Lutheran
No,
Church, we have
sir.
the Shalimar
No,
Day
sir.
Methodist Church, we've had this conversation.
I was at that
Let me tell you
conversation.
something, pickleball courts and dog park ain't gonna move the needle, and it ain't gonna make it happen. And ma'am, I don't mean that disrespectful to you, I'm sure you're a fine lady and you're smart and.
But I'm so tired of
We got a
hearing-
lot of emotions in here, and we don't want to see this go to developer, but let me tell
None
you
of us
something.
do.
If we gotta pay our creditors, if we gotta pay the PSP people, it's gonna go to a developer, you're not gonna like it, eventually a judge is gonna say, what is the most beneficial use of this property? Not a dog park.
But the people in here can't speak for the entire community. We must educate them and get them involved and win them over. And we're not gonna do it with some vague thing, you ought to do this because they're gonna close in August. You can't use a threat. You know, it used to be the, what is it, the.
It's not a threat, it's not a threat.
It's a
Eventually-
reality.
No, it's not a threat, eventually we're gonna run out of money. It's not a threat, it's gonna happen.
But it would have been nice to know that before now.
Well, I mean, and with all due respect, okay, and I'm gonna move on here. We've had this exact discussion 2 years ago, okay? The last time this contract was pushed through, we wanted to see substantial changes to the way the golf course was run, and it didn't happen. That's why we're here. The golf course is not meeting its own expectations to grow the play on the course. And that's unfortunately what was the plan 2 years ago. So I agree we've gotta do something. We need the Plan B committee, and I say this, and I'm happy to, we need to come back here with a course of action, and then we have to go to the community and see whether or not there's a temperature out there for people to actually consider doing it.
But I think, sir, we already got a headwind that we're facing because the community is already supplementing the course at $15,000 a quarter.
Agreed.
So they're gonna wanna know, what are you talking about? We're going down this road again? When is it gonna end, kind of thing? So it's like, what do we need, Mark? What do we need to tell our community, your community, how much money a month do you need to be self-sufficient? What are we talking about? And can the SPOA community become owners?
Yeah, I mean,
You know what I mean?
we would
What do
certainly
you mean?
entertain an offer from the SPOA to buy the entire property, okay? We would entertain that offer. We talked about that. And if the SPOA and these people here think they can run it better than what we've done, God bless them and good luck. Okay?
Well, the beauty of
We don't mean
that,
that sarcastically.
No, we don't.
No, I know,
mean that
I hear you.
sarcastically.
The
I'm just
beauty of
saying,
that
we gotta
is-
know, we gotta know what you're saying is,
right.
what are we gonna
still have to
communicate?
do our due diligence.
Yeah.
Be happy to do that. with
And
you.
there's a lot of, my understanding, you got leases on equipment and stuff like
Yes.
that if you close, you gotta pay out on that, which is a debt, right?
We don't know yet. We're gonna have to go talk
Okay.
with our equipment lease.
Yeah, so those are a lot of
See
due
what our
diligence
liability,
that
but
needs
yes,
to be done.
exactly.
Right.
Agreed.
But because so many people are PSP and all Capital Group, 90% of them are all inside here anyway. They wanna make sure this golf course stays here if they can. And so we're just looking at what are some, if SPOA owns it, we don't have to worry about it being sold to somebody else. And they could run it a year and go, yeah, this didn't work, so let's sell it to a developer, right? And so that's the reason we're trying to do it. And did we start it fast enough? Who knows? But here we are today and let's get going. So that's kind of what's going on.
Okay?
So just for grins, the vote in 2024 was 92 for and 57 against. Just so you know, that's where we were in 2024.
Continue.
For 15,000.
To continue the contract.
Right.
Right. Almost a 2-to-1 margin.
Maybe that was $75 every week, you know, that was not what you're asking for now. That was, and my husband was against that, not because of the money, just because of the principle of, you
I'm
know,
still-
private golf course.
I'm still
How much
perplexed
money
how
does
we went,
someone
the first vote we took back in 2019 was like 134 to 5. Okay, so what changed in those 5 years to where that vote shrunk? How'd we get 50-some negative votes in 2024?
Management.
I think, Mark, to be honest, I was one of those 57, and I got a sense that you guys were not doing enough to change the business plan of what you were doing. And with all due respect, I know you tried, I know you sweat it, I know you cut your budget, everything. You've done everything that you could, but you couldn't build more play on the course. And that's how we got to this number. People have a certain pragmatic sense, and you're right, you're saying, people don't care because they don't play golf.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that means the only way you can create the play is by getting players who aren't here. That means marketing to them. It means putting, you know, like the baseball field out there. You put up a home court neurosurgery sign on here that I sponsor for $5,000 a year. Okay, and you go to other businesses, maybe American Medical Group, GI will do it. Okay? My point is there are ways to be creative to raise funds, and unfortunately, that has not happened in in 5 years and it hasn't happened in 2 years. And I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just saying, you're asking a question, how did it happen? It happens.
Okay, that's where we are, I got it.
And as an owner, I too bought in as not as an investment, as here's money to keep the course going.
Right.
So I'm not expecting any of that money back. And I know there are a lot of people the same way. They're not expecting any money back. They just want the course.
That's
to
the
stay.
that's the common sentiment, we
You know,
agree with
we've
that.
got a lot of raw emotions, and I understand everybody's feelings on this. And I'm not mad at anybody, I don't have an axe to grind with anybody. We just wanna see this golf course succeed. And most all clubs, that they either succeed or fail by their membership participation and, I guess, marketing and everything else. But, you know, I don't hate anybody in this room. I just want y'all to know that we've been out here 26 years. This is the greatest community in Okaloosa County, and we just wanna keep it that way. And I'm not a brain surgeon, you know. I couldn't get into medical school, so I went to engineering college, so, we're not golf course business people. So, you know, anything you guys can do to help us, it'd be much appreciated.
So, and I do wanna say, I am one of the ones that voted against the contract again, and I'll tell you why. Because we asked for a business plan to be presented to the SPOA. We asked for a golf representative to come to our meetings and give us an update.
And Mark has been coming.
Yeah, he's been coming lately, but before that, he
Okay.
wasn't coming.
All right, so COA's from the next meeting, right? Courses of action.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's an Adam. Adam likes to use COA.
Where's that?
All right,
Orlando.
treasurer, the current assessment, so these numbers are not current, these are back in, I think last month, right?
That's right.
That's closing.
So it's still
It's
one
not.
forty.
163.
But that's for the end of the
I
year.
have
That's- yeah, that's for the end of the year.
147,592 as of today.
Because I wasn't sure if we'd made another payment.
So that 147 is the amount that is payable to the community for the fees. The 368 is the sum of the PSP, correct?
I believe that's correct.
Okay. Let's keep those numbers updated. This is your financial summary. Any comments on it?
Don helped me a lot with this, so I'm still kind of learning the ropes here, but, I just honestly don't have to comment it. So, that's it.
How are we doing against our budget?
I'll honestly, am still learning things. Don's been helping me even today, he helped me get this prepared, so, I still have a lot to learn before I can give you some solid answers to it. Sure.
Okay. Ms. Secretary is not here. Member at large, your beautiful letter, I appreciate you sending this in.
Oh, yeah.
So, we have been a little negligent on, advising members of the community to, cure issues of non-compliance. This is just a reminder that we will be starting to send these out. Any other comments from member at large?
Watch out for snakes. Just killed one on the way over here. Cottonmouth. Cottonmouth.
Where?
And I got one in Miss Myrtle's backyard right before.
All right. Architectural Standards Committee, 928 Masters, roofing was approved. 803 Choctaw, roofing was approved. This is the issue with the gate, and I asked the question, are cameras really outdated and need a replacement?
Yes.
Okay. What is your recommendation for upgrade?
We have identified a Real-Link 6-camera system. It is $859, and if Josh is still willing, we volunteer to install the cameras, no cost there, so it's just $859 for the cameras. And
And the goal here is that those cameras will replace the little license plate cameras.
We'll replace all 6 cameras and we'll have 1 additional camera. It's actually 2 cameras in one that will cover both sides of the street, both sides of the gate from across the street.
Does it work with the DVR?
It has a 2 terabyte DVR, whereas this one, I think it has 500 gigs. But the most you can transfer off of this video machine is 8 gigs. So large videos cannot be transferred off of it, and the online access does not allow you to watch recorded videos. Currently live stream.
That's that
Correct, the current one. So with the new one, it'll have the updates, it'll have the live stream and recorded videos that we can access remotely. And we won't have to go to the guard shack at all, so.
So question here. Can we keep this gate working?
That's different.
The gate, I haven't worked on the gate, Tracy's been working on the gate.
It's antiquated.
It's
I
old
mean,
gate.
every time something goes wrong with it, it's a very costly repair. The key fobs are a nightmare to deal with. The technology nowadays, there's AVIs that we could issue stickers out, and you can put them on your window or put them on a hang tag, and it'll automatically open up a gate. That's much more user-friendly, and if it does get hit, it's a $25 arm repair versus so yeah, I mean, but there'll be an initial investment of upwards of $25,000, $30,000 to put a new system in, but.
And with that new camera system, it does also have the ability to connect to whatever new gate system, so the license plate reader can trigger the gate to open.
I think we need to consider next year's budget.
Well, we need to talk, depending on the golf course, we have good efficient fry, similar to the refurbishing the roads. We're talking about kind of taking the back seats because of all, everything else going on. So, we need to prioritize what's important.
I just had one more thing. Okay. I'd like to make a proposal for the consideration of the SPOA, if we're coming up with ideas like the gentleman did over here. We raise homeowner dues to $150 per month per house. That's 198 houses, right? Just hear me out. That's $30,000 a month. That goes directly to the PSP, and the PSP makes the SPOA a 50-50 owner in the entire course. So in 5 years, if we can't all make this work, we sell it to the developer, and the SPOA gets 50% of the proceeds. We clean up all the old agreements, and we move forward as partners. Just throwing it out there.
That'd be
That's it.
that would be a COLA.
That'd be yeah, exactly.
All right, so we've talked a little bit about the covenants. We have done a lot of work. We've gotten this through our attorney. We have the resolution for 2/3. The goal is, right here, this is the limited proxy for changing the proposed amendment to change the wording of the approval process for a resolution. So essentially what we're saying is we're going to take, instead of 2/3 of all properties, 2/3 of those participating in person, by proxy, or by electronic vote.
Quorum.
A quorum, so there has to be a quorum, which is 30%.
Yes, yeah.
And so once you have a quorum, then you have a 2/3 vote and you can make a change.
The other thing we need to do before we get to that, we need to talk about this issue of electronic documents. Because in our documents, covenants and bylaws are so old, they were written in the 90s. They didn't even anticipate any electronic anything at that time. But Florida statute overrides our covenants and our bylaws. So the Florida statute 668.004 states, unless otherwise provided by law, electronic signature may be used to sign a writing and shall have the same force and effect as a written signature. The reason that's important is when we mail out to somebody that we're gonna have a vote, a lot of them, don't mail it back, but if we send it to them email, they may sign it or electronically sign it. This makes that a legal document, and in the past, we haven't looked at that. So because of state law, we can absolutely do that. And so I make a motion to the board that we accept electronic signatures, and then that will work into our next issue.
Second, yes. All in favor? Aye. Okay.
Yeah, in addition, just so you know, Florida follows the Federal Electronic Signatures and Global National Commerce Act, called the e-Sign Act, which generally prevents a contractor's signature from being denied legal effect solely because it is electronic. And those of us who are out there and you do real estate, you get DocuSigns every day and you're signing those things. That all pertains to that, that's how they do that. So that's why that's important. Okay, now we go back to, making a motion for this special, well, we need to have a special meeting to where this will be.
We've agreed with this, and now we're going to make a point of,
We're at August 11th, at 6 o'clock, will be a special meeting, in which case, that'll be the time people that are present come in, vote, and then we can actually go out and solicit proxies and get those all done and signed, and so we can tally those up on the 11th, after 6 o'clock, once everybody's voted.
6 o'clock on August 11th. This referendum will be addressed.
And for a special meeting, for those you don't know, we have to let everybody know 14 days in advance, okay? So with the minutes of this meeting, that will be in effect, and we will certainly post that on the board, online, wherever we want, hang it on the side of the building.
I think all of us, post it, send out the email.
Right.
So to reiterate that, I've got the voting from 2013 to 2025. The closest to 132 was in 2023, it was 119. Now this is for the elections. Now the contract votes back in 2019, there was 140 for the 2019 one, and then the contract vote in 2024, 149 people participated. But overall, going back and analyzing the people that vote, we have at least 80 people who don't vote. And people who have rental houses, they don't vote. They don't send in anything. So we really, and there's quite a few rental properties in the property, and a lot of them unfortunately are military, and they, out of sight, out of mind. So I know a couple that are overseas that we have to reach out to.
But to your point, and to Pete's point, we're giving 14 days notice. It's going to be a special meeting on the 11th, and boots on the ground are actually going to go out and try to encourage people to participate.
Yes, we have to have 132, or we're back where we were before, where we can't do anything.
Should we nail two birds with one stone? If we're gonna go up knocking doors, we need to knock doors with just this item, and what are we gonna do?
Well, we need to get that started soon, because I can tell you going door to door, it'll take a good 2-3 weeks.
I agree, we need to start soon.
I think we have to prioritize here.
Right.
This step is a huge step because it makes it attainable.
Right.
Whatever course that we choose to pursue will be attainable if we do this. Okay, so we gotta win this first battle. So,
Since you guys voted on it, can I pass them out?
yes. Kelly?
Yes. Maybe the cheeseburgers in Paradise, we had a good turnout. It was rain and bad weather. This is a sneak peek for the sit-in shop that we're having here on Thursday afternoon. I'm having my own booth set up here, that's what that is. But yeah, we don't have any other events planned right now, just kind of seeing what's going on can try to help you. I mean, it's, you know, we just all need to be honest about where our real position is, because everybody knows, and then move forward with how we're gonna fix it. Or we're just deepening the divide between the water and the golf course. And it's been so apparent since we moved in. We're friends with both sides, I'm just saying, you just see it, it's obvious. People in this room are telling lies.
And those people that are on the golf course that has a pond next to it are really conflicted.
Yeah.
I know, right? I've been here for 25 years. It's gonna be okay.
You can fish in there, I saw permits.
Right.
I sell you a fishing permit.
Don is going away party?
Friday.
17.
Friday.
Tammy, are you welcoming?
Yes, welcomed, Marcia Kathy's house finally sold, really nice couple, last name Olson, we have some Olsons in the, more Olsons in the pack. Yeah. And then, 2 more rentals, one of them, I met his kids, I haven't met him yet, call sign D-Day. I cannot wait to hear the story on that one. So, and the other ones are at,
8:15.
huh?
8:15.
8:15 what?
Choctaw, so.
It's sold, but I don't know anything.
You don't know anything about it?
Don't know anything about it. 850, the Masters, it's another rental. They just moved in, I haven't made contact with them yet.
The kid, there's a little kid over there, as far as my hand pointing right. He's tan and he's little bitty, and he darts across that street,
Yeah.
barefooted, so we have to be careful, because he goes back and forth to the pond, and we haven't had a little run like that.
That's how my son is too.
Okay. Mark, you had a lot to say, do you have anything else?
Like I said, we'll be glad to work with you for the due diligence.
They were at your house. I can't go there, but at your house.
Now, I had offered to Mark Pennington to be here, I guess he didn't make it. Brian, med school class with Mark Pennington. Brian Pennington, I offered him, but apparently he forgot, so I will.
No, Brian's out of the country.
Okay. And, I think we've had a lot of people step up. Anyone else want to step up before we close this? All right.
Make a motion to close. Anybody against?
Motion to close?
Yeah.
Second? Close.
Does anyone want some of these? Justin? This is the one that's, this is gonna be up to allow us to get a vote on something.
Does he ever leave the house? No.
They tried to come over and borrow my truck, but they had my driver's license, so I can't see it.
That's probably what.
Yeah, so I didn't let that happen.
Yeah.